Welcome to tonight's meeting. We're super excited to have all of you watching in tonight. With the weather coming strong, I think people got a little bit nervous, and then we had other people have things to do. So we're gonna go. Sorry. Closer. That's better. Maybe we can move this table just a little bit. A little bumpy bump. Okay. So we are going to be talking about some mastering your goals and making sure that they're insight. Oh man, I have some of these. Maybe it's a little bit of powder. So, if you guys aren't familiar, you're familiar with Hotline? Do you listen to it every day? Okay, so are you familiar with the Hotline that was just yesterday? Technically this morning too.
Do you know what it? So the last one I watched or listened to was about the taking advantage of the products that we have and the amazing science behind it. And
Is that Crystal?
So that was today. I think that was today.
Oh, so that was updated after I had listened to Hotline. Okay. Yeah. So I listened this morning at like 6 a.m. and it was, or maybe it was like 7 a.m., but it was still yesterday's message, and I had listened to it yesterday and was hoping that it would still be up, and it was. So I made notes of seven things that she says that you want to do to build momentum. So let's first of all identify what momentum is.
Oh,
you remember this one?
I did remember that quote that she said. About momentum is mo-me.
Mo-me.
Yeah.
Look at what she says by that. Mo-me.
Mo is in more, shortened. More me. More me. It creates the momentum.
Oh, okay. I was like, I don't know what mo-me is, but that's cute. Cool. Okay, well, thanks for helping me get that, because I heard it like a million times. I kept rewinding it.
Mo is it, and then, mo more shortened to mo. Mo me.
Mo me. Oh, gotcha. She just said it like the mo-me movement, so I was like, mo-me. What's mo? Anyway, so the mo-me movement is
it took
the
me a minute
me.
to get it too.
Okay.
I was like, at first I was like, and then I was like, oh, more.
I still couldn't get it. What am I trying to get here? Maybe it was too early.
Yeah.
But anyway, so so first of all, let's talk about this. So Jen Kirkham taught me this very early on in my Mary Kay business, that the first 30 days of anytime you start anything, you build confidence. Confidence is the first 30 days of tracking. And then the next 30 days, so once you're into 60 days of whatever you've been doing, that's when you actually create momentum. And then the 90 days, so you've done 30, confidence in the first 30, momentum in the first 60, and then once you get to 90, that's when you've actually created a movement. And so if you're thinking of a movement, what would be the next big movement in your business? I would say for Heidi, that would be team leader. That would be the movement. I think that momentum is red jacket. Confidence is, building into red, and then momentum is building into your team leader, and then team leader would be your next movement, or possibly even DIQ. And so, and for me, it would be to go on target for my third company car. And so right now, I look at that and I'm like, okay, what can I create in 30 days? Well, I can't create anything but a confidence of like my new routine and my new work level. Okay, in 60 days, I can create a lot of momentum of like, okay, we're building it, this is coming together, and in 90 days, it's done. We have our new car earned. You have directorship finish, you have DIQ finish. Okay, or get into DIQ, whichever that one is. Okay, and then in that, a new level comes a new devil, and then the cycle repeats itself, and then you're in a new level of confidence in being in that third car, or a new level of confidence being in DIQ. And then you do that for 30 days, and then the momentum of the 60 days, and then the movement of the 90, okay? And so that's what Jen Kirkham taught me from very early on. So knowing that, don't get your panties in a bundle when, in 30 days from now, you're not in the movement phase. It doesn't happen like that. And so if you're one of those people that kind of are stop, go kind of thing, you'll never get into the 30 days of confidence that creates the momentum, that creates the movement, because you've not allowed yourself to do something consistently for the 30, 60, 90. Does that make sense? Because we can say, oh my gosh, I've been in that company for 4 years, why have I not seen whatever? But have I really honed in for 30 days on a specific routine that will create the confidence, that will create the momentum, that will create the movement? And so that's what we're tapping into today, is the daily routine that creates the momentum. So the 7 things that she gives, I'm just going to reiterate for you guys if you guys missed it. It was yesterday, so it's not able to, you're not able to read it or listen to it now. building the momentum, she said number one is what is the one thing, not five things, the one thing that will move you and your business forward today. So she has a business goal, she has a health goal, she has a family goal, she has a personal goal, she has a relationship, she has a social goal. And so I've done the same thing, and I'm going to show you guys what I've done and send it to you guys tonight via email. If you guys want to follow the same tracker and print it out and tape it into your binders like I have. Okay, so I love that, what she's talking about I've already implemented, so it's very, very true because I've seen huge things happen in just the last 10 days that I've started this. Ever since day one of the new year, I've started this, and it's the 10th, so the first 10 days. So, what's one thing? You say one thing in my health. What's one thing in my family relationship? What's one thing in my social life? What's one thing in my business that's going to shake up things so that I don't feel like, oh my gosh, I need to do all these things for all these people and all these things for myself and all these things and I suck at this and blah, blah, blah. Just one thing, okay? Number two is scheduled time. You've got to actually give yourself the time needed to be able to make that one thing happen. So, the scheduling time to do that one thing, she says sometimes you have to set a timer, like for 1 hour or half an hour or 20 minutes, whatever it may be. How many bookings can I get in that 20 minutes? How many bookings can I get in this hour if you're giving yourself an hour? How many customer calls could I make in this half hour? How many, how good of a workout could I give myself in this half hour? If you're focusing in on these different things and just like set a dedicated time for those things, or else they won't get done. Okay. Number three is go for the small. Don't try and pick up where you stopped. Instead, so she was meaning if you've had momentum in the past and then you lost it because you stopped working, you can't just jump back into phase three. You can't just jump back into the momentum phase, regardless of anything. If you were doing P90X and then you took off for 3 weeks, you really think you should be able to jump right back into where you left off? Yeah, maybe if you're really good at, your body's able to bounce back like that, but not in your business. You can't just be like, I should still have 10 bookings on my books from 3 weeks ago. It doesn't happen, right? And so we start small and say, okay, I know I have to start at 1 again, so let's start at 1, go to 3, go to 5, go to 10. To get your groove back. Okay, so she says, in order to get your groove back, get the experience. She says, getting your experience, get your experience and completion on a regular basis will get you your groove back. So getting experience and having actual good things happen to you on a daily basis is what's going to get you that groove back. Getting your wins every day. Okay. She says consistency is really the key, so don't burn out. Don't just go, okay, I gotta go crazy because I took off for 3 weeks. No, you still have to start small. Number 4 is create space. So you first create time, now you create space. So get the junk away. She mentioned a couple of different people that, even wear their gym clothes to bed so that they are ready to go in the morning and they, the frustration, the thing that they get caught up in is the actual like attire and the details and things like that. And so how often do we don't book a party because our starter kit isn't ready? Well, get your starter kit ready so that you want to go out and do a party. Not, if I book a party, then I need to do my starter kit, then I need to go get a cute outfit, then I need, that's part of the space fitment factor too. And if you really can't de-junk or declutter in your house and it's just going to keep getting tracked, get in your car and go someplace and be like, I got to go to work. Clock in work. Last night I had an appointment canceled, but I still went to work and I drove around. I got a new name and number. I printed out my planner. I came in here. I tracked my inventory on here, and I worked away from the clutter. If I had stayed home, I may have gotten 5 calls done. So what was more important to me right then is to get out and get the junk away so that I could clear my head and I could get stuff done. So change the atmosphere if you need to. Get in your car. Okay. Number 5 is mentally turn on. So I love that she says, get in your business suit if you have to. It'll look weird if you're just like hanging out with your kids, you don't have an appointment scheduled that day, but if you're in a skirt, like how, in your working time, like you're not tempted to get on the floor and start scrubbing, you're not tempted to go snuggle with your kids if you're in a pencil skirt. Instead you're like, I'm mom right now, or, I'm businesswoman right now, okay, now I'm mom, and you can take off, your business suit and get in your comfies again and do what you need to do. But like it's that mental switch on. Now I'm somebody who tries to dress up every day, whether or not I have appointments or not. But I think that's what she means is mentally now check in, so that you're not tempted to do anything else. Okay. And 6, just do it, get into action. And then number 7, don't skip any days. So start with small chunks of time so that you're not just, again, the stop, go, getting burnout. If 10 calls is too much, start with 3 and do that consistently to build the routine and build the habit. And then say, wow, I have way more time. I have more time than to just book or than to just call 3 people, you know? And then when you have more time, that's when you can make more of the momentum happen. But you still clocked in, you still scheduled that time, and you've treated that as a serious business, and that factor in your brain is the biggest trigger that we're focusing on. Because it's very easy to walk away from January Jumpstart and be like, 10 calls today, but nothing the next day, and then 5, and then nothing, and then 10, and then nothing.
Yeah.
But it's just
Well,
that
even when I first
consistency.
started, like sometimes you just have to start with maybe don't do 2 hours of business every day. Maybe that is too much, for when you first start. Maybe you should start with 15 minutes and 15 minutes of calling and texting. Yeah. If you will do it, then it's better to do 15 minutes of calling than 2 hours once a month or something like
Right.
that. So.
Right, so it's the daily that she's referring to. And so the daily for 30, the daily for 60, and the daily for 90 really is what makes the biggest difference. Because, like I said, if you miss a day, it's like you've stunted the confidence factor. So, and just even think of like stuff that you could do on Sunday that could help with this stuff. That's not like if you're somebody who takes off Sunday, be like, okay, how could I mentally check in just a little bit so that I still feel like tomorrow I'm not restarting, but I'm just continuing the thought processes that I had Sunday night, or or even the game planning of the week, or like this is what I'm gonna do. That's what I use Sunday for, is to like master my mind and be like, okay, this is what I'm doing Monday through Saturday. This is when this is happening. This is what this is happening. I color code my planner. I get it all set to go, and so Sunday is one of those recoup days, and I try not to like get on the phone and call people, but I also feel like I've got to do something so that Monday I don't feel like I took off a week and I really just kind of checked out on Sunday and jump back in on Monday. So those were her tips, and I thought they went hand in hand with what I was already planning, so I thought I'd share that. So there you go, 7 things to help build the momentum that we're talking about now. Okay, next I want to discuss with you the okay, there is a book I'm reading. It's called Triggers, and it has a tiger on the front, so it always makes me think tigers. Triggers, and it is absolutely incredible for just like giving you an idea of what's going on in your brain and why you act the way that you do, and why you say the things that you say, and why you treat people the way you treat people, and what gets your blood hot, and what gets your like emotions pulled, and what does these different things to you. So triggers are not good or bad unless they they could be good or bad. Triggers themselves are not bad, but they can bring about like different things depending on what they trigger inside of you. A lot of triggers can create great things, and so so there was this thing that just to go like with one of the highlights of this book, they were talking about how if you don't have, the first thing is to like recognize that there is a problem, okay? And that's like the first thing we hear about like a lot of things, is recognize that you are making a mistake, or recognize that you are doing something right or wrong. Second is to then convince yourself, is there a consequence to this, whether good or bad? So it's first recognize it, then the consequences, and then the third thing is it actually invokes action. I think that's how it goes. Is like recognize, consequence, action. And so most people don't take action against anything. He was talking about speeding, for instance. And he said that there have been, in San Francisco, there have been thousands of signs posted for like, slow down your speed, reduce your speed, speed limit this, fines doubled, everything. Nothing was working. Hire cops, tracking these people down, higher ticket rates. Nothing was slowing down the people until they put a digital sign that showed people what they were actually doing. They kind of just mentally checked out, yeah, I always go the speed on this road, whatever. And they just didn't see it as a problem until they had a big thing that says your speed is 65, in a 50 zone or whatever. And they would say like slow down, and then they would actually recognize it, and then that actually triggered, oh crap, like there's probably a consequence for this, and they change their action. And so that was a big thing. Or for people who have crazy bad habits of sugar, and they have diabetes, it's not until they say, hey, guess what, your sugar intake is creating death and all of these different things, and that's what creates the action. Okay, so just talking about that, there's these 4 different things that his name is Gary Marshall, I think, talks about in creating something new. Okay, so when you want to create something, he always says you kind of have this, what does he say? You have this kind of fantasy, what does he say? Just this like dream inside your head, this hypothetical, I don't know, he said it in such a fancy way that a lot of times we don't actually hone into it. So he says, create something by choice and not by force. So it's when people say you need to change or you need to create something, it's not going to be as good as it could be if it was created by something that was like, I think I need to do something. So I've decided to do something this year, and I'll show you my planner and everything. Okay, so not enforce, but to create a new identity, and so that you're not just chasing all of the new. So I've noticed in myself that when somebody says something exciting, and I have no opinion of it whatsoever, so let's just put this planner into perspective. If I hadn't originally gotten that planner, looked through it, decided it's not going to work for me, and then looked for a new thing and, created it for myself, I would be right now being like this. Oh, what book should I be reading? What thing should I be doing? But if I took time with myself to say, what do I want to be? What do I want to create this year? And owning that for me, I know what book I want to read right now, and then I'll reevaluate the next book I want to read, and it's not coming from an outer source, but it's coming from an inner source. Does that make sense? It's what does Heidi need? What does Emily need? It's going to be different. It can't just be like, oh, that's working for Emily, you should have it. I'm more than happy to share anything that I have if you think it's going to work for you, just like Janice shared this book with me, but she's also shared lots of books in the past, and I haven't decided to read them. So that was kind of cool, is to have it be something that comes from inside of you as like this new identity, so that you're not just chasing everything in front of you, and that can get overwhelming, but instead being like, no, I'm good with me, I just need to implement this one thing. So have this implement to create a new you versus just like, oh, I should be doing what I was doing. Okay. Second thing is to preserve. A lot of people think that preserving is bad because it's like, oh, you're keeping the old, you need to shake it up, you need to change. But he said, keep doing the things that you rock at. Okay, and I think that was my interpretation. If you have the choice to get better, though, don't stay mediocre, of course. But he referred to this, the Girl Scout organization, and how a couple of years back they were like redoing their organization, and a lot of people said, you know what, you should just make Girl Scouts a whole new thing. You could chop the whole organization and you could restructure it in the way you want. And this guy said, no, there's power in keeping what we were founded on in the traditions and that kind of complex that we had in the beginning with Girl Scouts. And so he called it, tradition with the future, preserving and creating at the same time. And so, there is, if you know that you rock at something and you have great customer service, you have great verbal skills with, closing people, you have great, ability to, help support, different groups, or, get people together like you were talking about. You're able to connect two people together and show their strengths. Like, that is not something you should change. That's something you should preserve, right? Mm-hmm. And so finding the things that you really are amazing at and keeping them. Okay, and then third is eliminate. So it's very therapeutic to get rid of things. So and it's your most transformational thing that you'll do is the eliminate process. Okay, so if you're too good at something. So Marshall, his last name's Marshall, was talking about how he was doing great in his career. He was a motivational speaker, he was making good money, he was making good influence, he was, had it all. But somebody came to him and they said, "You're too good to stay where you're at." And he was like, "Well, like, I respected this guy." And he just straight up told me, like, if you really want to be the man you were created to be, I think you need to go out and find it and stop, settling that this is the best you could do. And that shook him up. He said after that, he, went on to do even bigger and better things. So he said, you're too good at doing something to not invest in your future, but you'll never become the person that you want to be. So don't sacrifice. I love that he said this. He says, don't sacrifice the future for what you want today. And we've heard that put many different ways. Don't sacrifice. So don't sacrifice your future for what you want today. And the fourth thing is accepting. And when at first I was like, accepting, like what? He was meaning accepting that you do have faults, accepting compliments even. I know for a long time I couldn't accept a compliment. People would say, "Oh my gosh, you look so good," and I was like, "Oh yeah, you always have a rebuttal instead of just being like, "Thanks, that's really sweet of you to say," and accepting that as a compliment. Also accepting that there's things that you need to work on so that you can address them and you can change. Accepting what is actually in front of you. If your data, and we're going to talk about that too, is tracking your actual hard proof data, starting with this new year being your year. Thank you for sending me your weekly accomplishment sheets. That was what we're going to be addressing. Even if it's not super grand, you sending me that weekly accomplishment sheet shows you're accepting what's in front of you. Because there's been times in my business that I've liked to create a facade of I'm doing better than I am. And when I look at the hard proof, I'm holding one party a week, or seeing 3 faces in a week, or having, $400 in sales instead of, whatever it may be, or saying, I'm in a, third car position when I'm not, and you put this kind of like picture out there that says, I'm really awesome, but not accepting the fact that, not that you're pitiful, and not saying that, but accepting the fact that I'm right here and I'm owning that and I'm moving forward. So not saying I'm in a red jacket, but saying I'm a senior consultant and I'm like super close to my red jacket and it's happening, So coming from a place of like power in whatever you do, but not losing your integrity because of it. So that's been the biggest thing that I was like, okay, like we need to accept.
It can be the other way too. Like you can say, "Oh, I'm not doing very well because something canceled or something's not going well," but then if you look back, you can say, "Well, I did have this happen, and this happened," and you can
Accepting
actually
personal
see
responsibility. Is that what you mean?
and just kind of, and just like that, you can see the things that you have done well. Like if you're tracking it, you can say, "Oh, I have done 5," like because in your mind you might say, "Oh, I did 10," or maybe I haven't done. Have I done any this month? Like, who did I see? You know what I mean?
And
but
most of the time
things are written down and tracked, then you can say, "This is exactly how many. This is exactly what is going on."
Yeah, and I've never been one to try and be dishonest, but it's you just think you've done more than you have, and it's not honest when you say, I think this is what I'm doing. This is the work level I'm putting forth, Emily. I should totally be, a DIQ by now. And then we actually look at the hard data, and it's like, no. So like that's what I'm really excited about, is now having the proof on paper to say this is why, and that's why Mary Kay said attract number grows. I feel like a big reason why we're held back so much in the things that we like haven't been able to make happen for me personally, like why I haven't gotten my big Cadillac. Well, when was the last time I actually like track the daily to get to the weekly, to get to the monthly, to get to the bi-yearly that I need to be tracking to get there, So this is gonna be good. Okay, to accept where you want to be. Okay, so that was it as far as that stuff goes. Now we're gonna get into the actual nitty gritty of like what I have. Okay, so this planner is something that was printed yesterday, And I will send this to you guys, but I'll show Heidi here since she's here, okay? So on a daily basis, this is my personal, okay, first of all, I have to show you something really cool. So I created this right before January Jumpstart, okay? I created this on like the 3rd of the month, or the 3rd of the year, or the 4th of the year. I was like, we have to come up with something, it's already 4 days in. And that's when I came up with this, okay? And it was right then she opened January Jumpstart. Amy Gamboyan opened January Jumpstart with what?
With the tree.
With the tree.
With the
Oh,
roots.
take notes on.
And you and your, what comes from the
What
roots
comes
that you
from
create.
your roots that you created,
the
right?
branches and the fruit.
Okay, so here it is.
Yeah.
Okay. So here it is. So if you look, she said the things to track are your, down at the bottom, your roots is your personal and professional goals, your, personal and professional development, so your plan, your rhythms, and the time that you invest to support your success, okay? Your mindset, are you doing something daily to motivate yourself in a positive and grounded and powerful direction? The support, have you put in anchors that help to encourage you and things like that, and then your faith walk. Okay, and what are you reading was also one of them. Okay, so she listed all of those things, and I looked in my planner and I said, wow, faith walk. What am I giving myself emotionally? What am I giving myself personally to get myself out of my head and the most powerful version of me? What am I giving myself for good books? What am I doing to support myself financially to give myself the best results and my health? So I was just like, wow, it finally has clicked that she was on the same track that I was on, and I was like, okay, this is why Amy Gamboyan has woken up at 5 a.m. and she is like untouchable by anything negative. Is because she has this rhythm, this routine, this thing that she's put in that is sacred time, that is not interrupted by texting or phone calls or children or husband or anything. It is her personal time at 5 a.m. because nobody else is awake, right? And so mine has started at 5:30, but it's the earliest I've ever woken up in my life. Besides 7:30, so I'm like super impressed and proud of myself. So anyway, so this has been like what and then I give myself a check if I've done it Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I'm also somebody who's very visual. I've noticed that about myself. And so this is my roots. I'm tracking my actual roots down here weekly, okay? So it's something that you can cut out. You can make like 10 to a page. You can cut out. You can tape right in here. Weekly. Okay? And right now I'm doing it I've done it just for the month of January, but I'm going to keep doing it because I was like, maybe we'll see if this works. And it has. It's done what I wanted it to do. Because what I used to do with my other planner was I tried to squeeze in everything right here and say, okay, what did I do? And with this kind of a planner, it's a little bit easier. I could probably write everything in. But it gets lost in the words instead of me being able to see it and pull it off and see my whole week, my roots weekly. Does that make sense? Yeah. It's something I can track my roots weekly, and I don't have great handwriting. So me writing in, I think it would look like scribbles on a page, and I would just glance over it. This, I feel like, is powerful for me.
Okay. Just being able to put that check. It's kind of like me popping those bubbles.
Yeah, do you still do those?
I started it up again, and it's nice. And like the last
the only thing is it doesn't track.
Monday,
it doesn't track.
Yeah,
so those bubbles are perfect to pop. But then write it down.
Them in here. Yeah.
Yes, and then write it down.
Yeah, but
I love the bubbles.
Nice. It's nice to be able to have, like, at the end of the day, say, I did this. I accomplished everything that I set out to do.
Parade goes off.
Yeah, it's fun.
You should totally look into it.
Yes, Mary Kay, my customers plus app.
Yeah, that has been awesome. So then, pop your bubbles and then track it. If this is helpful for you, again, this has been something revolutionary for me. Okay. So then, color coding is huge. You already know that. We've been doing that for a long time. But always do it for at least 3 weeks ahead. So I actually just printed this last night, so I'm a little bit behind. I need to do this
because for me, like, I just lose my pencil. You know what I mean? Like
color pencils.
They just get lost, and then I'm like,
you have a special pencil folder, and you keep your pencils safe in between your profile cards. These are like $1 at Walmart, and your profile cards fit in them perfectly. And your pencils go inside, cause I use color coding for my bookings too.
Yeah.
Do you still do that?
Well,
So
I
if you
don't
have
because
your
I'm always
pencils,
losing
I
them,
was too.
so I'm like,
I was too. So this is nothing fancy.
So I just give it up, give up on it, on that part of it, and I do my calls, but then I don't,
Track it. So this is nothing fancy, but it's at least a system. A system. It's a very non-professional. I mean, it's just not fancy, but it is a system. Okay. So then the second thing that she talked about was what were the branches. She said the branches were parties and facials. She said the branches were customer service, reorders. She said that one of the branches is sales, new, like tracking your sales. Another one is interviews, chats, follow-ups, new team members, faces seen, the amount of guests you have. We had also done this right before January Jumpstart.
Yeah.
Sales, reorders, faces seen, new parties booked, interviews, new team members. So now here are what? My branches. Tracking routes, tracking branches. Daily. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. No Sunday on here. I do have Sunday on here just so I can do as much as I feel like I need to or want to on Sunday. Okay? This part is for what you would like to have happen in the day. Okay? And then this is the actual. Okay? And I'm kind of working with that because right now when I get really good, I will make my game plan of the day of like, this is what's kind of happened, and then I'll have my actual. Because right now I'm filling it in at the end of the day, and I'm like, crap, I should have filled out the first part at the morning, and then this part at the end of the day. So I need to remind myself that needs a part of my daily habit is to make my game plan for the day. So this is almost like your 6 most important things list, really. This is it in action. Because we always think, okay, what should my one thing be? Call Heidi. And then we get lost in that instead of being like, okay, I'm gonna make a game plan. So when I'm ready to get to the office, when I'm ready to work, I can look at what I want to make happen today. So I would love to have $200 in new sales. I'd love to have $50 in reorders. I'd love to have 40 parties booked. I'd love to have 2 new interviews, and I'd love to have 2 new team members. Bam. And then what actually happened that day. Okay? The new team members is going to be a little bit tricky. You're going to have a lot of, zeros daily. I mean, that'd be nice to have like one every day, new team member every day, but it's a little bit like less often. But, at least you're focusing in on like who's my next, right? So I see it daily, and I don't like putting zeros. So that motivates me to do something about it, right? So this has been just for me so that I can see it all on paper. These can go inside that planner. I just pulled them out. That's why if you see a little bit of like tape pulling, you'll see that I just kind of like pulled them out. So this is where it went for this, and then down here I just had this kind of like a Saturday, Sunday or like on Sunday or something like that. Or you can honestly just like stick it down here if you're not gonna write a ton of stuff down there. So anyway, but I really needed these. So if you guys are excited about this stuff, I can definitely send it to you. But when she talked about how, the roots grow you as a person and you track this, then the fruit does come. And so I feel like between all the things that I've been learning, whether it was from January Jumpstart and learning about this, to the Triggers book that I've been reading about, how to collect and, create this new you by preserving what you're good at, creating something that not that you've come up with, but kind of. I mean, this is something that Cameron and I came up with, because I've realized that this is what I need to be doing. And it's nothing fancy, it's just paper and Excel spreadsheets and tracking things. And then, and preserving what's good, eliminating what's not, which is just a lot of chaos. It's just a lot of like white snow blindness of saying, oh my gosh, this is overwhelming to look at this and not have a clue of what I should be doing, and there's no place to put my 6 months. I mean, there is, and I could put it, and so for me, it just gets me to like focus in and write out data. So then when I do my weekly accomplishment sheets, it's here already. And in the details right here, I can write the names of the people that I saw. And at the tops of here, I can write maybe my like highlight of what happened. So yeah, I think that's just been like a big thing. And then it just makes every day count, and even every hour and every minute count, because your goals are right in front of you, and you're gonna have to put a 0 at the end of the day if you don't get something done right now. So, whereas before I was like, nothing's even tracking me. It doesn't even matter. Today was a okay day. Oh, that happened tomorrow. Yay. And then there was no weekly accomplishment sheet. So let's go through this weekly accomplishment sheet. So let's go through mine just because I did it. I printed it off. And this is the first one I've done for reels in just say a long time. So now that it's a new year, if you haven't done it, you've done it already for 2 weeks, right? Weekly accomplishment sheets? You've done it for the last 2 weeks?
So I think I did. So I did one for this week, and last week I think I did.
I think you did.
Did I fill out both for both weeks?
I think you did. I think you did. So what's nice is you can always go back. You can't go forward, of course, but you can always go back to what you've done in the past. And why not start now? It's only 2 weeks in, so you'll have to do a little bit of tediousness, but at least it's not 2 months in, and you have to go back for 8 weeks. Because that technically is what you'll have to do for taxes anyway, is try and figure out like how much money you made. And so when I asked you, Heidi, like how much you think you're making and things like that, and you kind of get this blank stare, I had that too. I had that same thing too.
I'm not tracking it, and I'm not tracking the expenditures and the
Nothing. And so then when somebody asks you, you can't even.
I mean,
sometimes
say, hey,
we find confidence in that.
and you just
Sometimes we can find confidence in that because it's like, oh, well, it's probably a big number. I'm making lots of money. But in reality, if you've honed in and you said, wow, like I'm making more than I thought I was, or, oh my gosh, I'm making a lot less than what I thought I was, we can change that. If we haven't recognized, remember, number one is recognize, and then seeing the consequences of not being able to have as much freedom or having more freedom that you didn't know you had, those are the two consequences here. Then we can evoke a change and we can make something shift and happen, right? But right now we've been living in ignorance. In ignorance, and so we're just like, life is great because we love the personal time, or not the personal time, but we love the personal growth, we love the friends, and we love that culture of Mary Kay, that almost some things just kind of go by the wayside because our number one is being met, when really you have this potential to make this a great, launching financial booming business for your family if you just knew where you were and like the small pivot that you would need to change you into a whole new trajectory. It's like incredible when you have that. So that's the kind of passion I'm feeling right now because I'm like, I know what I'm doing for the first time in 2 years. And so another thing that, who has said this? Who said this? I read that. I was watching this actually. I just pulled it up and I was looking for a mental bath because before I started this book, I just was kind of going through YouTube videos of just finding new things to motivate me and get me new thought processes. And this guy, he's a I don't know what he is. He's a motivational speaker now. But anyway, he went to go play golf with his kids or with his buddies or something, and he'd never played golf before. And the first time he got to the golf place, he's actually good. He was like, oh my gosh, like I'm putting these and they're going far and they're like hitting places and going places. And he's like, must be beginner's luck or something, getting all cocky. He goes back the next day and he's terrible, like absolutely terrible. And he's like, how in the world can I be awesome yesterday and terrible today? And he's like, do you know what you're doing wrong? And he's just like, no, like tell me, like I totally suck. And he's like, you're a millimeter off. And he's like, a millimeter? Like, do you see how far I'm getting these? Like, this is terrible. Like, I'm not doing anything like it yesterday. I don't know anything about golf. But anyway, he's like, you're a millimeter off. And he's like, are you kidding me? So he shows him, like, if you hold it just a millimeter, that golf ball is so, small that a millimeter shoots it in a totally different direction. And sometimes we think that we have so far to go. Like, I'm so far off. I need to be over here and I'm over there. Well, guess what? A millimeter hitting in on your goal, knowing where you're going, skyrockets you into a whole new trajectory. And that's what can give you so much power is be like, I know I'm not where I want to be today, but guess what? I'm a millimeter off from my 30, 60, 90, right? So if you look at like the golf ball to the actual momentum phase, it's not tomorrow, but it's 30, 60, 90 of the daily. And that's the key right now, is knowing where you are, what you need to do daily to get to where you want to go in 3 months from now. and to know that it's 3 months away is more accepting. It's not 3 years, it's 3 months. It's 90 days from the 10th of January. And so I wrote in here, this planner's awesome for multiple reasons, but in the very front of this planner, it says, what would you like to make happen in your lifetime, in 3 years, in 1 year, and in 3 months? And I was like, bam, right there. And so, I mean, these are just my own personal goals, but you can get excited about, okay, like 90 days. So let's actually do an exercise right now where you pull out your paper and you put a 3-month goal out there. Saying, okay, so where I'm at now, double senior consultant, right? Okay, so senior consultant and red jacket within a month. I mean, it could be a month of just daily effort. I mean, if you really hone in on what you're doing, okay? In 2 months from now, you've got some serious momentum. I would say you're team leader. And in 3 months from now, DIQ. Right? So then if you break down those numbers into their actual numbers, that's 10 team members in a 3-month period, on average 3 a month, right? 3, 6, 9. You already have one right now. So we're looking at 3 new team members this month, 3 new team members in February, and 3 new team members in March, and going into DIQ April 1st. How do you feel about that? And it's not, I mean, it's 3 months away, so it can feel a little closer, it can feel far, depending on the way you look at it. If you look at 3 months, it seems month by month, it's short, but if you look at 90 days, that seems like a good amount of work to go from here to DIQ, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's why I got into DIQ when I did, because I did the same kind of work that I'm doing now when I was in DIQ, as far as what I was looking at and what I was making count. I was making every minute, every hour count, not going crazy, but knowing where I was at and where I wanted to go on a daily basis, and not letting myself go into the ignorance mode of it will happen, it'll totally happen. And I really feel like that is the difference breaker between the people who keep talking and the people who walk it. It's not that they're not motivated, it's not that they don't have gumption and dreams, it's because they haven't actually put it on paper like we talked about. The 100 people in a room, one person will make more than the 99 because he did what? Because he did this, because he tracked daily efforts that would make him into this man or this person, the CEO, this multimillionaire that he destined himself to be years and years and years and days and thousands of days before it came to pass. Whereas everybody else just said, oh, what's your dream when you want to grow up? Oh, well, man, I'd love to live in a mansion by the lake and have 2 yachts and, you know, they have this fancy dream, whatever, but then it just becomes under the rug, under the bed.
For some faraway day,
Yeah. And so many people do that until they can't even dream anymore because they're so swamped in bills and debt and life that when we sit down with them, we say, hey, what dreams do you have? Is it time? Oh, shoot.
Check my phone, that's okay.
I say, what dreams do you have? We do this at our parties. What dreams and goals do you have? A lot of times they're like, what? When's the last time I was asked that question? They can't even answer you straight. They have to think for a good minute, and then half the time it's not something they can actually see or taste. It's like happening. They can't actually see it happening. It's more of they'll just spit something out that they, once upon a time thought about because they just want to answer your question. So a lot of times it's not even a genuine response. Rarely I will still actually find, 1 or 2 people that give you a genuine response of like, I'm actually working on it right now. Like I'm in the middle of my master's degree and this is what I'm, I want to create this company and I'm working I'm halfway earning my, trip to Disney with my kid, whatever it is. And you're like, wow, you're actually doing it. Everybody, round of applause. She's one of the 100. She's 1 out of 100, right? So it just blows my mind that it's just now finally clicking into actually making it the realization into the consequences, into the action for me. So, are we out of time? Is she coming?
She is, but she said she might be a little bit late. She was coming all the way from Fremont, so she's at work.
Okay, so I want to show you this last thing, and I'll send this video to you guys. Sorry, a lot of it was on paper, so I don't know how much you guys actually got to see, but there is this. I'm so excited to show this to you. So just a visual to put everything that I've said today on in a video, and see what you think.
Do I need to push play?
Yeah, it's still loading.
I'm really excited about this year. It's gonna be really,
Yeah, before I
awesome
share
year.
this, just tell me your thoughts.
Well,
What has been
just
good?
that I feel like this is gonna be a good year because I feel like I've learned the things that I need to know, like skill wise, like what do you say, when do you say it, what needs to happen. Like I've been able to see like when I am booking consistently versus when I'm not booking consistently, and see like, oh yeah, I had some good momentum and then fell off, just stopped. And just like learning how to keep that going, and how to like, even when I don't have, so there have been things I've been really excited about. Like in October, I was really excited about domestic
Oh yeah.
violence awareness, and so I did that, and I got
And you did
and I
your
had
thing.
like 15 faces in like 3 days or something crazy like that, because I was like, this is happening,
Non-negotiable.
this is important to me, I'm going to do it. And then
Right.
November was just such a busy month, and so
And Christmas. And
yeah, and then
holidays
Christmas and holidays, and then now I'm finally getting back into it, and I'm saying, okay, there's no excuses, there's no reason why I can't make these things happen on a daily, get people excited. We've got the new like luxurious
Yes.
spa grade treatments
True.
that we can, and experiences that we can give to our customers now, that we can get them excited about.
Yes.
So that's really awesome, and yeah, and that we can just be doing these things every day. And like I have seen a lot more bookings. I mean, I've had like tonight I had 3 cancellations, but I have one that's still planning to come. So yeah, just
And you had one
needing
this
to be-
morning.
yeah, and I had one this
seeing
morning,
faces.
and so I am seeing faces, and I'm starting to, and so sometimes I do still get nervous, like when I do have like people
do
saying,
too.
I need to reschedule, and I'm like, oh, all that work, is it like I sometimes feel like it's not gonna come, and then what, but just like that, I can't let that break me, I can't let that stop me, and I can say, you know what, it's a freezing cold night, people are probably scared to come out. It's not that they don't wanna see me, it's not that they don't wanna be here, they just probably are trying to figure out what they're gonna do tomorrow, if they, or whatever, and so people have lives, people have cars break down, people have things happen, and
you
so
know
we
that.
can't, people forget things, so you just have to kind of say, okay, I still wanna work with you, keep positive, and just, but yeah, I really feel like it's gonna be a really good year, and that, as long as I do keep these things and keep consistent and keep this daily win and get myself up early and do those things that are going to
What are those things?
set me up good. So I'm not waking up as early as you, but like
That's fine.
and today I didn't do a good job just because I was
That's
up
okay.
late last night, but like on Monday I got up, and I read my scriptures and prayed, and then and then after that, and I have a specific goal of how much I'm gonna do, like I have a specific goal that I need to get to with my scripture study and everything, and then I have like try to set aside 10 minutes to a half hour. So I've been doing a half hour of just different workouts, whatever. Like I haven't been super specific, but it's just been like whatever I feel like my body needs. Like one day I just worked on like toning my arms. The next day I just did some
Awesome.
relaxing yoga.
Awesome.
Today I did laundry and counted that as my work, laundry and
Sometimes it is, right?
and unloaded the dishwasher, and I was like, okay, that's my, that's what I needed to do, because I had, facials coming at 10, so I needed to make sure that, kids were out the door, I was ready, and I didn't get up as early as I should have, so, but yeah, but just getting at reading my scriptures, working out, then reading a little bit of something motivation, just a page to a chapter, depending on how much time I have.
If you,
And listen, yeah.
I listen to books because I can't sit down and read them. So if that's helpful, I can share with you.
Audiobooks. Yeah, I like audiobooks. But
You can fold laundry and get your mental bath in at the same
At
time.
the same time. And then I'm still trying to figure out when I'm gonna, I'm not very consistent about when I do hotline. I usually just do it whenever I have time, or so if I'm doing a workout video, then I usually don't, but if I'm doing if I'm going for a walk or something like that, then I'll listen to hotline at that time, or I'll just turn on hotline when I'm driving or whatever. So, and then, so just and I have been doing my booking calls earlier in the day.
Awesome.
Usually, today I didn't, because I actually had a facial at the time that I would have been booking. But just making sure that I am doing that every day.
That's awesome. So you do have a routine. You do have something that you're tracking. At least you're tracking.
Developing. Yeah,
That you're developing.
developing.
So would it be helpful
So
to have
I
something
probably
where you can
need
check?
something more that I can't. Yeah, so I'm just doing the bubbles right now. So I need something that I can say,
Write down.
this is how
And
many
do you
days
set
I've
up your
done it.
bubble the night before?
Yeah, so
Set up-
I've been
okay. Awesome.
setting up, and that's really helped, because if I wait till the next day, it's
It's already over.
I'm tired. I'm I don't know, what should my bubbles be
Right.
today? And so if I have
You
to
don't
do it
want
the
to
night
start
before.
with a non-win,
Yeah.
and so you're
And
like,
I-
I didn't do that or that, so I'm not going to put them on my bubbles.
Right.
Instead,
So you
you're
say,
going
I'm
to
gonna
skip
do-
those bubbles
yeah.
and do ones that you know you can easily
Yeah.
do,
Right.
versus setting
Things
yourself
that are
up
really
to win and push.
that are really,
the next day.
Yep.
Well,
So-
awesome, Heidi. That's awesome. That's super good. So this is the other big thing about this is you can now look back on what the reason why I think it'd be really good to put the bubbles on is so that you can look back 2 months from now and be like, you know what really changed for me when someone's like, Heidi, how are you in DIQ? You weren't even or whatever it may be. Well, 3 months ago I started my momentum, my confidence, and 2 months ago was my momentum phase, and 3 months was my, and you can prove me wrong, and say, hey, she was right, 30, 60, 90. Totally works, right? And so this is that, and then also for anything else, if you don't do your weekly accomplishment sheets on a regular basis, now you have them right here in front of you, and you can go back to the computer and plug and chug, and it's super easy. So one other thing I was going to say about the weekly accomplishment sheets is that it shows you your earnings per hour. So I spent 6 hours actually working, which I was like, what? 6? That's it? I feel like in my brain I was doing 15. But trackable hours that I was actually holding appointments was 6. 6. So that consisted of a party, a 2.5 hour party. It took me a good 2.5 hours because I did everybody's makeovers. 4 guests, 3 ordered, 1 set sold, and that was a $282 party. Okay. Then I had a reorder, $25 reorder, a $40 reorder. Then I did a party with 3 guests, had a facial with the double facial combined to a party. 1 person ordered, 2 people booked new appointments, and I sold 2 skincare sets, which were added up to be $125. Or set sold was $225, and then I had a $249 reorder. That was exciting. So in total, my sales were $720 for the week, and I was like, whoa. I totally thought I was in the 300 or 400s, but I had a $700 week last week, and so sometimes it's like, oh my gosh, I didn't do anything, and sometimes it's like, wow, I did that. I am working on 2 interviews, and I had a total in gross profit would be $248 if you do the 60-40 split, and my income per hour is $48 for last week.
That's awesome.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
And then I have the names of the people, and they're their like info so I can always like follow up. I'm like, genius, why have I not been using this? Like how crazy, you can see it on paper. So I'm gonna put this into some kind of, trackable planner, a folder or something, and be able to look at it week after week and pull it out and be like, oh yeah, she was from the first of the year. So that's that. Shout out to weekly accomplishment sheets. So now you have a idea of what can be tracked and where you're at. So now I can say, guess what, guys? I make $50, $48 an hour, and I don't have to say that from I think I make, but it's $48 an hour right now, and I thought I was 75. So right now I'm 48 on average. We'll see what I am. But anyway, okay. So I'm sending this. I'm showing this to Heidi. So I'll just pause it. I'll stop the video for now. Hope you learned something. Fox was what you learned. Love you. So this is the story of bamboo trees.
Is it from, is that similar to what we talked about?
Bamboo winter?
No, the fall retreat. Did we talk about bamboo?
Daily gratification versus your future, right? Years. Warrior tree. He's heard.
must not have fed them correctly. If only he had done things differently, there would be growth. Despair rocks his soul. 5 years he has poured into his dream, into his hope for a better future. His dream mocks him. The vision of a better life for his family melts away under harsh reality. Tears fill his eyes as he grabs for the last hope residing in his soul and slowly lifts the bucket to pour water onto his dream. After 5 years, he realizes it would be folly to give up. Then comes the morning when the whole village is jolted awake by the cries of joy from the farmer. They watch startled from their windows as he runs down the dusty road calling for his family to come see. As his family races back up the road after him, the rest of the village pours from their houses to see what has this crazy farmer so excited. They find the family clustered around the spots, talking excitedly. From the edge of the road, they can see green sprouts thrusting out from the barren ground. They seem to be growing before their very eyes. The farmer is dancing. The miracle has happened, he cries. The miracle has come. The spots become the place for everyone in the village to come, watching in amazement as the bamboo grows and grows and grows. 5 feet, 10 feet, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90. In just 6 weeks, the bamboo
6
has
weeks,
grown
90
90
feet.
feet tall.
In 6 weeks.
5 years of nothing, and now this. 90 feet in 6 weeks. It is truly a miracle. The farmer stands to the side. He is aware all his dreams have come true. The harvest of the bamboo will provide all he dreamed of for his family. The bamboo that will replace what is harvested, springing forth from the deep roots forming during the last 5 years, will provide for generations to come. He also realizes the lessons he has learned are far more valuable. He learned to plan a dream. He learned to do the daily things that would make it a reality. He learned to ignore those who said it couldn't happen. He learned to push past his own fear and doubt and keep taking action. He learned to have faith when there was no reason to have faith. Now he smiles every time he walks through the village. Everyone is hauling buckets of water to their own spots.
Now they work.
Gazing over at his towering 90 feet tall bamboo, they know what can
Now
happen
what can happen?
because of
Because
him.
him.
Because of his willingness to blaze the trail and make his dream come true. What about you? What are you willing to do to make your dreams come true? How long are you willing to work? How long are you willing to take action? How long are you willing to push past your fear and doubt? How much faith and belief are you willing to have? I hope your answer is one that will help you achieve all you dream of in life. As you continue to dream, do so knowing that someone believes in you enough to send you this movie. Someone believes in you enough to make sure you understand the miracle of Chinese bamboo because they believe you can create miracles in your life.
That's so cool. I love that. Gianna sent that to me the other day, and I was like, like
This is your Cadillac year.
this is I mean 5 years down.
This is your
Steve,
bamboo
5
year.
years to what is that 5 years to? If you knew that in 5 years of your daily efforts right now could feed your family for generations, that's what honesty is. When you die, it feeds your family for the next 15 years, not generations, but it sets everybody up, and you the fruits of your labor are never in vain. And they said the amount of time it takes to actually build a national area or like do anything grand like that from the day you decide to the daily efforts to make it happen is like 3 to 5 years. You know, a lot of people just take, 20 years to decide. But it was these last groups of nationals, these young nationals that have decided to just to do it. They're like, I can do that daily, hourly, They maximize instead of lengthening their time. So, super cool. Super cool. Like crazy, 5 years go by and you don't see it. Thankfully, we see something happen, but sometimes it feels like it. Like, it's been 5 years.
I'm not in my red jacket. I've been doing this for 2 years. It's almost 2 years
2
since
years.
I started
And
working
you
my
feel that
business.
sometimes maybe that, it's harder to see the actual growth. Other people sometimes see it more than you do, But you've also been, he said, even more than the bamboo itself, he said he knows the greater change was inside of him because he learned how to plant a dream, harvest it, daily efforts, new habits, confidence, development, things like that, that would not only feed his family for years to come, but make him the man he was supposed to be. Super cool, huh? So is she coming?
I don't know. Let me see what she said. She hasn't said anything for.
Oh, phew. Nikki texted us like a while ago.
Was she here?
She texted an hour ago what the address was. She said, what's the address? I doubt she'll be able to come now. In an hour, but we'll see. I don't know where my girl is.
Hello, you have reached Nikki Cobbin.
What do you think about
These chips? They're good.
you want to text her and see where she's at? Hey, Brett, are you coming?
Hey, I'm at work right now. I have to be back.
Oh, shoot. Okay. Bye. Oh, I guess she couldn't come. She's at work. I really like her though.
Was she the one that was here last?
I
No.
don't think you met her, but she was here on Friday night.
And who was
Number 8.
Elisa and what were the
Oh,
girls' names?
Christy.
Christy and Melissa. And Elisa.
They're the girls that went over to the other studio. Do you know what they did over there that I'm really proud of?
Well, so they could have recruited them there because they were.
They could have. Thankfully, I still have her number from the beginning, and I was just like, I think I texted her and I said, "So do you want to reschedule?" Or she texted me that night. I was like, "Where are you? What's going on?" She texted me and she's like, "So, actually, can I? You said I could get some kind of product. Could I get that?" And I was like, "So like something with my $10 gift card?" And I was like, "Yeah, but we should probably schedule you. Should we probably just reschedule?" And she's like, "I was there," and I was like, "What?" Like, no, you weren't. She's like, "No, I was there," and I was like, she went to the other studio. Like, it automatically clicked. And then she was just like, "Yeah, some girl named Kristen met me." And I was like, "What is that?" Or Crystal, I think it was. Anyway, so then I got in touch with her, and I was like, "Hey, girl, do you know that you facialed my guest?" And she's like, "What? I thought it was Kristen." I was like, "That's Christy. She was fine." Anyway, so it was an honest mistake, and she was quickly like,
Yeah.
going
Well, I would.
about
I don't
it.
know that I would have. I'd be like, oh, that's probably yeah. Like
I mean,
that's
she
what
just
she goes
embraced it
by.
with open
or-
arms. They had 10 people there. Like, I had 3 people here, so it wasn't like I was looking for her, but at the same time, I was like, "What?"
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, so I mean, she was just like, when they texted me, they were like, "Oh, it's the recording." And